Hey everyone, welcome into our latest Trade to Black podcast. I am your host, Shad Dales, where today we're going to dive into the upcoming Q4 and full 2024 earnings season in the cannabis industry. We'll highlight 5 crucial areas investors should be watching closely, with specific examples from Q3 2024 earnings from the top companies like Trulieve, Green Thumb, Curaleaf, and Cresco Labs. Lots to dive into, so let's get into it. The first key area to watch is revenue growth. In Q3 2024, we saw that revenue for many leading cannabis companies remained relatively flat. So for example, Trulieve, they reported a revenue of $284 million, up only 3% year over year. This stagnation is partly due to the increased competition in the state of Florida and also the failure of adult use cannabis passing in Florida. This now leading to discounted products in the state. Investors should watch closely and monitor whether this trend continues or if revenue decreases somewhat here in Q4. The second key area is gross margin. Margins indicate a company's efficiency in managing costs. In Q3 2024, Trulieve achieved a gross margin of 61%, reflecting efficient cost management despite the flat revenue. Given the product discounting in Florida, keeping an eye on gross margins will be essential to understand how companies are navigating these challenges and maintaining profitability. The third key area is EBITDA. EBITDA shows a company's profitability before accounting for interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So for instance, Curaleaf Holdings, they reported an adjusted EBITDA of $75.3 million in Q3 2024. The adjusted EBITDA margin was 23%, aligning with the previous year's performance. While revenue was stable, the flat trend raises questions about future profitability. Investors should see if companies can maintain or improve their EBITDA margins in Q4 2024, especially in the face of potential revenue. The fourth key area is cash flow. Cash flow from operators and free cash flow are critical for sustaining operations and investments. In Q3 2024, Green Thumb Industries reported $287 million in revenue, adjusted EBITDA of $89 million or 31% of revenue, and in this case, $48 million of cash flow from operations, which was stable, but revenue again was relatively modest and flat. Monitoring their cash flow will provide insights into their financial health and ability to invest in growth initiatives, especially if revenue remains flat or decreases in Q4. The fifth key area is expansion and market penetration. This means the number of new dispensaries, geographic reach, and market share in key states will indicate growth potential. So for instance, Cresco Labs, they report $180 million in revenue for Q3, but again, their revenue growth was down slightly. Investors should watch how these companies expand their presence in key markets and whether this translates into revenue growth in Q4 2024. Now let's discuss increased tax liabilities. This is important. The cannabis industry faces significant challenges from the 280E tax code in the US, which we all know. It disallows standard business deductions for companies involved in the production and distribution of cannabis. This results in higher effective tax rates, impacting financial stability. Investors should be mindful of how increased tax liabilities are affecting the balance sheets of cannabis companies and their ability to remain competitive. For example, in Q3 2024, Trulieve, they reported a net loss of $60 million, including non-recurring charges and asset impairments, which led to a decrease in their tax liability. Green Thumb Industries paid $35 million in taxes and reported a GAAP net income of $9 million, indicating that their tax liability remained stable. Curaleaf reported a net loss of $44 million from continuing operations, which resulted in a decreased tax liability. As we move into Q4 2024, it's important for investors to watch whether these companies have added to their tax liability, maintained the status quo, or decreased their tax liability. This is an extremely important metric that all investors should be paying attention to this earnings season. As we gear up for the Q4 and full 2024 earnings season, keep an eye on these 5 key areas: revenue growth, gross margins, EBITDA, cash flow, and expansion efforts. And on top of that, their current tax liability. Given the current market dynamics, particularly in Florida, these metrics will provide valuable insights into the performance and really the future potential of leading cannabis companies. Additionally, the flat revenue trend observed in the last earnings season raises important questions about future revenue growth and margins. Don't forget to consider the impact of increased tax liabilities under the 280E tax code on the financial health of these companies. Look, it's moment of truth time for the industry as we're about to find out the latest numbers, which really is going to give us an idea of what we can expect here in 2025 when it comes to the overall direction of where the cannabis industry is headed. Saying that, let us know your thoughts on what you're going to be watching and some of the key things that are important to you. So leave some comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback. As usual, if you like the content we produced here, give this video a like, smash on that bell for all notifications. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate it. One last thing, as I always say, make sure to scan this QR code and subscribe to our daily baked-in newsletter delivered to your inbox Monday through Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, giving you all the latest numbers, information, business, finance, reform side of the overall cannabis industry. Hey, look, stay connected with all of us here at TDR, the Traded Black podcast, over these next 2 weeks as we highlight the latest numbers from the biggest companies in the cannabis space. Here we go, everyone. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again, everyone, for watching.